Thanks for watching part 2 of Why God Loves the Queers. Reason number 4, continued. Cravings of this depth eventually lead us into the cravings as well as the affinities of the soul. Therefore, by illumining the soulful drives for connection, belonging, and unity that greatly motivate human interaction and the continuation of human life, queer people reveal humanity's inherent soul nature. This inherent soul nature universally transcends cultural, socioeconomic, and political factors. This soul nature transcends all social categories that we can now identify, and even categories that we have not yet identified that might emerge and be identifiable in the future. Reason number 5. Queers are diverse. LGBTQ folks are represented in literally every human category. We emerge when one looks at people across virtually every spectrum of the human experience. LGBTQ folks emerge when one examines groups of various ability levels, races, cultures, political and class identifications, as well as spiritual preferences. Frankly, I don't know if there exists a more diverse movement which engages human beings across every point of affiliation. God, in my view, is the omnipotent, creative impulse behind all of life. And this impulse expresses itself through a wide plethora of human identities. So I can imagine that it's fun for God to manifest through such a wide range of human possibilities and potentialities. Actually, the more human identities through which God may find the satisfaction of manifestation, the better. In other words, I imagine that God delights in expressing God through diverse manifestations. The more outlets that God has for creativity, the more that reality expands. And the more that reality expands, the more that creation serves the Creator. Essentially, the more channels to which God has access in order to showcase the inexhaustible variety of creation, the better off everyone is, gay, straight, or otherwise. We love variety, and so does God. Reason number 6. Queer people mate in a non-traditional way. This fitting together may not make sense from a purely logical or biological standpoint in terms of reproduction. This sort of fitting together expands straight people's awareness of what sex is. In other words, the way that queer people couple unintentionally challenges normative beliefs regarding sexuality. God is served by those who respectfully challenge widespread norms. This is because challenging widespread norms often leads to leaps in human consciousness. And leaps in human consciousness make each of us more available to receiving the reality of miracles. Why is this true? Why do these leaps in consciousness spiritually serve us? They serve us because every genuine miracle stretches private and public understanding of what is possible and what might be possible. Or in other words, it stretches what we understand about life and how it could be. To put it concretely, queer people's mere existence and the way that we mate stretches and challenges many minds, even to this day. This phenomena of stretching minds serves God. Why does it serve God? It serves God because God needs open, stretched minds in order that we may perceive the miraculous, thereby recognizing life's sanctity and God's presence inherent within life. A constricted mind is most likely a bored mind, and bored minds are seldom able to perceive the miraculous. God also requires open minds, as well as compassionate hearts, in addition to some reproducing bodies, in order that we may healthily continue and preserve life on earth. Reason number 7. Queer people are often outstanding examples of courage. If you look at the state of the world today, one can all too easily discern that more courage is necessary in order to overcome the complex challenges that confront us all. We need more people to make decisions based on courage rather than on convenience, vision rather than on conformity, and understanding rather than on ignorance. And perhaps most desperately, we need people who can make decisions stemming from compassion rather than propelled by the compulsions of fear. Queer people are often models of courage, whether by intention or simply by default. How do we model courage? We model courage simply by virtue of our desires and our insistence on honoring our desires through the life choices that we make to honor these desires. And whatever virtues are most needed among humanity are favored by God, whether it be courage, vision, understanding, compassion, or any other noble virtue. Reason number 8. Queer people are often fabulous models of authentic living. Authenticity is a rare commodity these days. It cannot be fabricated, genetically engineered, or purchased online. It is something that must come from within one's psyche, and it takes a lot of hacking into one's psyche for one to manifest as a truly authentic person. Authenticity is more than nonconformity. Authenticity means being in touch with the deeper layers of the self. The deeper layers of the self are those that we only access when we take a magnifying glass and thoroughly look at our psychic intestines. Though queer people, like any group of people, embody varying degrees of authenticity, it takes a fairly authentic person to go against the common, heteronormative grain and to realize one's true self, which might not be the self that others thought one to be. Reason number 9. Queer people are daring. Let's face it, creating this world must have been a daring, cutting-edge risk. It was an unimaginably big risk, because the world that we all inhabit is one of complete contrast. Everything can go right within it, everything can go wrong within it, and all else in between. Queer people, when we live our lives with honesty in regards to our sexual and/or gender identities, embody notably daring personal subjectivities. So if God is at all like a human parent, then God must be proud of that which one's offspring display that's favorable about the parent. It's the light side of narcissism. If this is the case, then God must be pleased as punch with these queer, daredevil children. How satisfying it must be to God that queer people embody, to varying degrees, the godly quality of daring. In other words, that which we mirror back to God that is inherently positive about God ought to be celebrated by both God and humanity. Reason number 10. Every spiritual tradition connects the quality of love with the nature of the divine. So if God is a source of infinite love, then God's love must, by virtue of its very nature, include all human beings within its reach. It's not God who withholds love from humanity. The opposite is true. It is we who can withhold love from each other and from God. In reality, God's consciousness is not catching up to us. Rather, it is our collective human consciousness that is catching up to God's love. As we love ourselves, each other, and God, our consciousness evolves. God may ultimately be a mystery, but imitating God is simple. God is, in essence, love. And therefore, as we love as much as we can, we honor God.